Hello everyone. In this presentation, I will give you a brief introduction to drones and I will explain some key concepts to get you started. If you have any questions or would you like to learn more about this fascinating field, please contact Jasur. In recent years, drones have become an essential part of many fields, ranging from hobbies and aerial photography to advanced tasks like geophysical surveys and exploration. In this presentation, we will explore the different types of drones, their components, and their applications. Okay, let me introduce myself. I am Sohaib Yousry and I am an aerospace engineer. I work as the drone operator at TDS. Nowadays, everyone knows what a drone is, but an official definition is a type of unmanned aerial vehicle that can fly by remote control or autonomously, meaning it follows a pre-programmed software without needing constant human input. Some drones are used just for hobbies and are usually flown with a remote control. They are called RC planes. There are drones designed to perform specific tasks with many types that truly benefit humanity. Let's explore them. First, agriculture drones are unmanned aircraft used in farming. They collect data and perform tasks like crop monitoring, precision spraying, mapping, and livestock management to help farmers improve yields and efficiency. Second, geophysical survey drones are unmanned aircraft equipped with specialized instruments to collect data about Earth's subsurface. They are used in various fields like mineral exploration, environmental monitoring, archaeology, and engineering. These drones carry sensors like magnetometers, ground penetrating radar, and electromagnetic instruments to map what lies beneath the surface. This data helps to create detailed images and models, providing valuable insights for decision making. Third, search and rescue drones quickly scan large areas, access difficult terrain, use thermal imaging to find people, and sometimes deliver supplies. There are vital tools for emergency response. Camera drone are specially designed and equipped to capture high quality photos and videos from an aerial perspective. Professional photographers and videographers use them for stunning aerial shots in wedding, real estate, landscapes, and more. There are many types of drone that vary in shape and how they operate. Let's take a look at some of the most well-known ones. Single rotors drone, also known as helicopters or rotary wing, rely on a single rotor for the most control. However, this is a type it's not very common. Second, multi-rotor drones, also known as multicopters, are drones that use more than two rotors for lift and propulsion. They are the most common type of drone you see today. However, the relatively larger ones are slow, which means that tasks like surveying take more time. But on the plus side, they offer great stability and come in various configuration. Quadcopter have 4 rotors, hexcopter 6 rotors, octocopter 8 rotors. Fixed wing drones. Unlike multi-rotor or single-rotor drones have wings like traditional airplane. This design gives them the ability to fly for longer. That makes them perfect for large-scale mapping and surveying. However, fixed-wing UAVs have larger payload capacity, which has some disadvantages. For example, they are less maneuverable and require runway. Now, let's move on to my personal favorite. It's the most difficult type, but also the best. It's VTOL, mean vertical takeoff and landing. It strikes the perfect balance, combining the advantages of both fixed wing drones and multi-rotor drones. It doesn't need runway for takeoff, since it takes off vertically. Plus, it has long flight time and high payload capacity. This is make it ideal for carrying sensor used in measuring physical properties or for long range mapping. It's hardest to control, especially when transition from vertical takeoff to forward flight. But once you master it, you will stand out as an expert in the field. By the way, this is type we use at TDS, along with the other drones for specific missions. The last type we will talk about is the flying wing. It has fixed wings but no tail. Unlike most other aircraft, that is a key difference. Let's move on the next section to explore the components of drone. Parts of drones. First, we choose the right frame, which I explained in the previous slide. Next, we have the flight controller, which is responsible for controlling the drone in the air and receiving signal from the ground station like laptop. There are many types of flight controllers, but the most famous one is Hawk. It also comes with its own GPS to determine its location. Batteries. Drones are powered by lithium polymer batteries, although some use specialized gasoline engines. There are also hybrid drones that use both batteries and gasoline. However, the most common power source is batteries. Motors. The drone motors are brushless motors and propellers are mounted on them. These propellers generate the thrust that allow the drones to move and lift off the ground. The electronic speed controller ESC is what connects to the motor and the battery. It controls the motor speed and the amount of power drawn from the battery. The remote control allows you to manually control the drone at any time. It connects to a receiver placed inside the drone, which receives signal from the remote in case you need flight manually. Telemetry consists of transmitter and receiver that sends drones data to the ground station, including its location and orientation. It also allows you to send the control commands to the drone without needing the remote control. Some additional sensor can be installed on the drone depending on the mission. This might include airspeed sensor or refinder, which help to avoid obstacles. At TDS, we use drones for two main geophysical methods: magnetic, that use in mineral exploration, archaeological prospecting, and environmental studies. Second, electromagnetic. These methods help us to study the groundwater exploration and monitoring, oil and gas exploration, and geotechnical engineering. TDS provides geophysical survey service using drones, allowing us to cover large areas as quickly as possible. This method is more cost-effective than traditional ground surveys while maintaining high accuracy. If anyone have question, please contact us. Thank you all.